Assalamu alaikum. Are you planning to do something? I can.
No. We're thinking you're praying.
We would rather have you there.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the honor of the beloved Prophet, the last messenger of Allah and his immaculate progeny Ahlul Bayt, recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the honor of the Imam of our time and hastening in his reappearance, recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And for the honor of Sayyeda Zainab salamullahi alayha, which we are honoring her Wiladat and her birthday, recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه وحبيبه حافظ سره ومبلغ رسالاته حبيب إله العالمين وخاتم النبيين العبد المؤيد والرسول المصدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين الهداة المهديين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أعداء الله أجمعين من الآن إلى لقاء يوم الدين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم يا أيها الناس اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم هل من خالق غير الله يرزقكم من السماء والأرض لا إله إلا هو فأنا تؤفكون صدق الله العلي العظيم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala illuminates our hearts by the light of Iman, guidance and the love and the mahabbah of the Prophet and his family. And may Allah cleanse our heart from deviance, corruption and hypocrisy with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Congratulations on the arrival of 5th of Jamadi al-Ula, birth anniversary of Aqila Bani Hashim, the intellectual of the family of the Prophet, al-Masa'ib, the mother of calamities, the symbol of resilience, the flag bearer of Karbala after Ashura, Sayyeda Zainab al-Kubra salamullahi alayha, to Imam of our time, to all the believers and all the mu'mineen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq of ziyarat of Sayyeda Zainab in this life, and inshallah the shafa'ah and intercession of Sayyeda Zainab and her family in the Day of Judgment with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sayyeda Zainab was born in the household of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Fatima al-Zahra at the 5th year after Hijrah. Her age difference to her brother Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is 1 year. She is 1 year younger than Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And her birthday is easy to memorize. She was born on the 5th of Jamadi al-Ula, which is the 5th Islamic month. And she was born on the year 5 after Hijrah. So 555 is the Wiladat of Sayyeda Zainab salamullah alayha. And her life from the beginning is accompanied with many calamities, many challenges, difficulties. And in previous, I remember, I think I was fortunate enough to have either the Wiladat of Sayyeda Zainab or in the Wafat of Hazrat Zainab lecture about her. So I'm not going to repeat it, the basics of the biography of her life. Rather, I want to focus on one of the unfortunate decisions made by some cultures when it comes to Sayyeda Zainab, and that's the name selection. I did not know this is a problem, but apparently in some cultures, the followers of Ahlul Bayt and the Shias of Ahlul Bayt, they say that it's not a good idea to name your daughter Zainab. And when they're asked why, say because she faced many calamities. She faced many hardships. She went through so many losses. So it's not a good thing. Those who are named Zainab, again, they further this logic to say that if you name your child Zainab is as if you're welcoming calamities to your child, which is very unfortunate. The name Zainab is a name that we look at the history was chosen by the Prophet, because when Zainab Salamullahi alayha was born, Prophet was not in town. So they waited until Prophet returned. And then the Messenger of Allah said, name her Zainab and honor her because she is a resemblance and a reminder of Khadija Salamullahi alayha to me. And Imam Ali alayhi salam loved this name so much that he named his other daughters also Zainab. This is a beauty of the decisions of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. When it comes to his sons, he named all his sons that we are known as Ali. Ali al-Akbar, Ali al-Awsat, and Ali al-Asghar. And when it comes to daughters, he has the same decision that she has Zainab al-Kubra. When we say Kubra, is the feminine word of Akbar, is Kubra. And then we have Zainab al-Sughra, the younger one as well, and Wusta, the middle one. So if Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam and Ali ibn Abi Talib make that decision, and then later on we see that Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam continued on that legacy. To let these kind of, let's call them cultural decisions, affects our name selection, it's far away from justice and it's far away from doing the right thing. And also, speaking of Zainab Salamullahi alayha facing calamities, let's just speak of that for a minute. And the word Zainab, there are two possible translations for it. One, it means the beauty of her father, Zain plus Ab. And the other one is that is a name of a river in Jannah. Either way, it's a beautiful name. And facing calamities and challenges is the topic of my tonight's lecture, which is a quality that a human being is in need of. Even if we don't want to choose it, it will happen to us and we are in need of it, is the quality of resilience. Ability to withstand, tolerate, handle, adapt when it comes to hardships, challenges, grieving. That's something that is not given to us at the time of birth. It's not something that we can say, Jazakallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. It's not a quality that people are either born with it or without. It's a quality that has to be built, it has to be developed, and is why in the Quran there are different words that they are referring to this merit, this quality of resilience. To be able to stand up on your feet after falling, to be able to continue your life after experiencing, we can call it extreme form of loss. It's something that Quran either use the word sabr, patience, hilm, forbearance, and also istiqamah, which means steadfastness. But all of them, they're talking about this phenomena, which we call it in English language as resilience. And Quran reminds us لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Do not forget that your creation was not meant to be a comfortable journey. Our existence was always, from the moment of our birth and our existence to the moment we leave this life behind, hardship, challenges are intertwined with the fabric of our existence. And in order to double down on this concept, Allah uses the examples of the prophets of the past. Let's begin with the first story, Adam alayhi salam. When Allah talks about Adam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that they were in a garden, in a Jannah, but quickly talks about the hardship that they went through. And then we have the story of Habil and Qabil, another hardship, another struggle within a family, brothers having jealousy to one another. Then we go to the story of Nuh alayhi salam, another challenge, another hardship, which is a father and a son, husband and a wife, having two different set of values. One believes, one doesn't. Regardless of the sacrifices of Nuh alayhi salam, regardless of how persistent he was, how kind and compassionate he was, at the end of the day, it didn't work out. His wife and his son did not join his message and did not believe. And we continue in these stories. We come to Ibrahim alayhi salam, having challenges with his uncle Azar, the one who is an opposite pole of his belief. He's preaching monotheism, and his uncle Azar is building idols, being thrown into fire by people. And the story goes on with one difficulty after another. Which prophet of God in Quran we can look at that his story is not about resilience? It's not about how they handle hardship, how they handle what it was considered to be in a stressful situation. In a modern language, they call it stressful. In a traditional way, we say they didn't face bala. They didn't face trials, hardship, challenges. And that's why Quran said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. And why this topic? Because when we speak of Zainab salamullah alayha, this should be one of those qualities that we always think of. Rather than those people who say, if you name your child Zainab, you're welcoming calamities and hardship. They forgot that we already are in a life that is filled with calamities. It's not something that you can prevent them from. Right? That whenever you ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for strength, what are you asking for? You're asking for hardship, because strength is about how we are pushing back against forces. The strength of a weightlifter is when there's a heavy weight to lift as well. Otherwise, what's the point of weightlifting? There's a challenge. So rather than looking at the story of Zainab from that perspective, that Zainab salamullah alayha was the one who faced calamities, why we don't look at that regardless of how many hardship was presented and faced Zainab salamullah alayha, none of them were able to break Zainab. None of them were able to break the spirit, faith, the character of Zainab. Why you don't look at that kind of beauty in her life, that you want to raise a child like that? Because yes, we bring children to this life. We try to shield them from harms, dangers out there. But the truth is we cannot do it forever, right? We do our best when they're younger, but the moment they start going to school, can we really shield them from bullies? Can we shield them from, God forbid, a racist, Islamophobe teacher? As they go on with their life, they become younger, can we shield them from the hardship they face in college, university, or workplace? Can we shield them? Can we protect them? No. All we can do is to give them the tools that they need in order to face those challenges and navigate through those hardships. That's what we can do. That's a good parent's strategy is. Rather than say, you know what, my child, I will not let them ever be exposed to any kind of hardship. As smart parents understand, that's not doable. It's not something that we can control. We can protect them from some form of dangers, but we cannot protect them from all. So what a better way to name your child after a personality that she faced the most difficult challenges, trials a human being can even fathom. We cannot even imagine. But after all of that, when she is in chain, imagine, when they try to break your spirit, when they did not have any mercy to your family, to your brothers, to your sons, and now they're mocking you as well. They're making fun of you. When they brought them to Kufa, to Ibn Ziyad, may Allah remove his mercy from Ala Marwan and Ala Ziyad. This is the word of Ibn Ziyad, that we're grateful that Allah punished you. Did you see what God has done to you? Tried to put salt on their wound. What we hear right now in Gaza and Lebanon, rather than showing some sympathy with the slaughter of children and women, of the innocent, people putting salt on it, on top of that. Yeah, they ask for it. Right? They're defending themselves. What other choice they have is to justify the killing. So we have that Zainab Salamullah alayhi in response. She spoke as Ali alayhi salam was revived once again. When you look at the Arabic language, you see the eloquence. You see the way that she ends sentences. In Arabic, is rhyming. It's the same in other languages. It shows somebody's ability and also control over the language. That they are not only fluent, but they have this eloquence to be able to express their thoughts in the best possible way, in the most precise way. And this is somebody who's just came from a battleground of Karbala. And she's been suffering. So she begins with the praise of Allah. She began with Alhamdulillah. You're saying that God humiliated us? You tried to say that God is on your side? Alhamdulillah. And then she quotes Quran. That you tried to use Quran, you tried to use Allah and religion against us. ثم كان عاقبة الذين أساءوا السوء أن كذبوا بآياتنا. The fate of those who denied the signs of Allah is clear. Those who rather than believing, they persisted on their denial. Mustahzi'un, they even made fun of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your fate is coming for you. If you're not punished yet, it doesn't mean your fate was forgotten. And then we know this statement. And this should be one of those statements that we remember Zainab Salamullah alayha by. She said, مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. That's a definition of resilience. You try to crush us. You try to destroy us. You try to kill our spirit. I saw nothing but beauty. And that is something relevant to our time more than ever. It's been more than a year. What's happening of the genocide in Gaza? What's happening now in another place in Lebanon? And Allah knows a number of actual shuhada that there are not a proper way of keeping track of it, especially in Gaza. One of those small numbers out there is over 40,000. In that moment, it's very difficult to be resilient, to say, what beauty I see. It's all destruction. All destruction. And even they throw threats as well, that if you don't cave, if you don't follow as we tell you, we will do what we did to Gaza, to Lebanon as well. As if that this is a threat strong enough to scare people. But for those who see beauty in the midst of destruction, the beauty of what? The beauty of people standing up for their rights, fighting oppression, occupation, not letting somebody, the word of Imam al-Hussein, hayhad minna dhilla, they loudly with their lives, they announce no to humiliation. We will not be subject of this apartheid anymore. This is beauty. Yeah, Nelson Mandela, when he was started, nobody saw beauty in it, but those who are seeing the beauty of his work, now they admire it. People are now proud. Celebrities now, they're proud to say, I have a photo with Nelson Mandela and what he stood for. Because they saw beauty now. So our way of looking at the life of Zainab Salamullahi alayha should not be as a victim. When you say Ummul Masa'ib, mother of calamities, mother is the one who's in charge of the house. The family runs by the mother. When we have the title of mother of calamities, it means the one that she owns the calamity like a child. Calamity is not controlling Zainab. She is controlling. She is deciding the narrative. And the least we can do is to learn from that, to be inspired by that, especially nowadays. Because it's very easy to let hopelessness take over. There are recent events as well that they even make it more hopeless to some people. That one tragedy after another tragedy. So what should we do? What Quran says, and when it comes to resilience. Quran says, number one, and I'm going to inshallah give some help from the Quran, from our faith, as well as we have many of the studies nowadays in behavioral sciences also pretty much kind of confirm what we already knew. One thing that when it comes to mental health and resilience, a lot of it is about mental health. When we talk about spirit, when we talk about our ability to bounce back from hardship, we're not talking about physical things. Physical hardship, when they happen, when there's a sickness, there is a process for it. You have to go to the doctor, you have to go through the treatment, there's a way for it. But for mental health, there's not much going on in that sense, especially when you talk about hardships. Unless somebody is dealing with severe form of mental health, there is no real medication, medicine, shortcut for it. That's why we see these vague terms, mindfulness. Mindfulness is good, right? Self-care. These are good terms, but we need practical way. And our faith and our religion, and this is also approved, that faith plays an important role when it comes to our mental health. There's a correlation between them. The stronger the faith, less are symptoms, or we can say expressions or suffering from mental health issues. There's a correlation between them. So how can we cultivate, how can we build resilience? It's not something that we're born with. Let's decide on that. How can we actually become a more resilient person? Obviously, the first one for us is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, dua, prayer. That's always the number one go-to, because regardless of how many technique we try to utilize and use, ultimately we're in need of support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even that one that we are implementing, still we need the term insha'Allah, right? If God is willing, they will be effective, they will be helpful. So start everything with the name of Allah. Including when it comes to the moment of hardship, we've been told, الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ. So إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ is not only at the time of death. It's not just for the moment that we hear somebody passed away or the loss of a loved one. Is أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ, when somebody is afflicted, when they are the recipient end of a musibah, a calamity. And Quran, in the previous verse in Surah Baqarah, before this ayah, Allah said, وَلَنَّبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ. So the type of musibah is either with fear, sometimes you're scared, you're anxious, you're stressed, you're worried. Sometimes is hunger, is financial issues, troubles. Hunger means is usually when it comes to your necessities. وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ, sometimes is that you lose your investment, your property, there's some kind of major financial loss. These are all musibah. And the Quran says, الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ, when they are being affected by calamity, they say, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They quickly remind themselves, because we always need a reminder. We have ghafla, we have forgetfulness. We forget it, that we are from Allah. Well, I am not alone in this universe. I am not on my own. Because sometimes if I'm alone, the loneliness start to come over and say, you know what? There's no one out there for you. Nobody cares. You're on your own. Everybody, busy with their own lives. When you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, a reminder is that you're not alone. You have somebody that you belong to him. You are for him. Inna lillah, we are for Allah. He created us. He had a purpose for my existence. Wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Also, I don't forget that ultimately He will welcome me back. Even if everybody abandons me, even if everybody leaves me, there is one that I always go back to Him. So dua is one. Resilience, when we look at many of the scholars, that's how they built the resilience, through ibad and worship. If Sayyeda Zainab says, I saw nothing but beauty, where she get this resilience from? That she's able to endure the suffering, the loss, as great as the shahada of her brother Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. It's difficult. There's a bond between them that when she's getting married to her husband, Abdullah ibn Ja'far, there is a condition in her nikah. There's a condition. You can have, what is known as shara'it dhimn al-aqd. You can have conditions in your nikah contract. Her condition was that if my brother is going somewhere, wherever she goes, I have to be with him. If you agree, that's how I marry you. Because otherwise, people say, why Zainab left her husband? Because she already asked for that before leaving. At the moment of their nikah, she asked for it. So there is a bond, there is this connection. But we have that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam being the Imam, the Hujjah and the proof of God. When they look at the worship and the devotion of Zainab, he looked at her sister and said, my sister Zainab, pray for me, make dua for me in your salat. The Imam and the Hujjat of Allah asking Zainab to pray for him. It should be a sign of devotion of Zainab. That's where Zainab Salamullah alayha is getting that strength. If you're worried, if you're stressed, best thing to do is to do salat. If you're really extremely anxious, one solution is to do salat. And then we have that even after Karbala, Imam Zainal Abidin said, I saw my aunt Zainab, she did not let even her Salatul Layl, Tahajjud, to be missed. When we, God forbid, go through hardship, we're talking about our wajib, our daily prayers, if they are not going to suffer. But for her, after all that hardship, she's not going to miss her mustahab, an-nafila. And Imam says she was not able to stand on her feet, so she performed it sitting down. Do not take the value of worship on resilience. Those who their ibadah and worship is more continuous, more persistent, their level of enduring hardship is higher. That's it. That's how Yusuf alayhi salam was able to endure all that hardship. Imagine your own brothers betray you. And then you end up in a strange land, and for a crime that you did not commit, they throw you in jail. For being innocent, they throw you in jail. It's very difficult. But how he was able to manage all that. In the jail, we have that his jailmate would say that we would not see him unless he was in the status of ibadah. To the point that they will ask him, can you do it either through the night or through the day? So give us some break. Because in his ibadah, he would have crying as well with his ibadah and worship. So that's number one. Number two, how we can build resilience. Remember that this life comes with hardship. That's the best way. When I'm not expecting a hardship, it's going to hold me off guard. I will be shocked. I will not anticipate it. So as a result of that, I will be hit harder. I always give an example. I said again, if right now this is the darkness, imagine if we turn off the lights and we know somebody's going to come and scare us. We know we heard them that they're going to, pull a prank on us. It's not going to be as scary. We're not going to be, shocked or extremely frightened by it because we anticipate them coming. But even if the light are on and somebody's hiding behind the door, but you don't expect suddenly somebody come and shout or scream, our reaction is very different. Anticipation plays an important role in our reactions. Resilience is a reaction, by the way. Resilience is how we react to hardship, how we react to musibah, how we react to a stressful situation, right? So the best way to prepare ourselves for a reaction is to anticipate. Not to say, I welcome hardship, no. But to know because I'm a good person, it doesn't mean I will not have a hardship. Because I do my salat on time, it doesn't mean I will not get a hardship. The nature of this dunya is كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul shall taste death. Yeah, we don't want to think about it, but knowing that it is a true fact is going to help us to anticipate hardship in a different light. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Knowing this, it helps a lot when it comes to resilience as well. The third one, when it comes to building resilience, which we need, istiqamah. How to be stronger when we are facing challenges, which is also important, is the ayah I recited from Surah Al-Fatir. Is a solution that Allah offers and the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt also emphasize on. Recite a salawat. So, Ya ayyuhan nas, udhkuru ni'matallahi alaykum. The way that we are building resilience is by this ayah. O mankind, remember Allah's blessing upon you. And then Quran in Surah Al-Ma'idah refers to this concept as well. إِذْ هَمَّ قَوْمٌ أَن يَبْسُطُوا إِلَيْكُمْ أَيْدِيَهُمْ فَكَيْفَ أَيْدِيَهُمْ عَنْكُمْ. Remember, when people set out to extend their hand against you, there were people who wanted to harm you, but Allah withheld their hands from you. In other words, you're facing a hardship right now. Remember in the past when you faced hardship and how Allah helped you through that hardship. This ayah was revealed about Muslims when they faced new enemies, new challenges, new plots. And Allah is reminding them, remember in the Battle of Badr and other occasions how Allah helped you. So the way to build resilience is to focus on not just the negative, because that's the way our mind usually works. We focus always on the hardship, and you said there is no silver lining here. How can I say I'm sick, I'm ill, somebody died? How can I see beauty in this? How can I see, comfort in that? And Quran said, "Udhkuru ni'matallahi alaykum." Yes. Maybe God forbid somebody lost a loved one. Maybe they lost, I don't know if it was a health issue. But remember how many other blessings you have and you had. Yes, you are here right now, but you were not like this forever. You lived for 20 years, you lived for 50 years, you lived for 60 years. You got the joy of seeing your first child. You had the joy of seeing your grandchild. There's so many blessings. اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم. The way we build resilience is at the time of hardship, we look at the blessings of Allah as well. Otherwise, If you only focus on the hardship, what will happen? It will consume us. That مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا is exactly what Zainab Salamullah is doing. Yes, I lost my children. Yes, I lost my brothers. Yes, I'm now in captivity. But I remember, and she quotes it, said, I remember that my mother is Fatimatu Zahra, the master of the woman of the universe. I remember that my father is Ali ibn Abi Talib, the one that Islam was established by his sword and by his bravery and wisdom. My brothers are the masters of the youth of paradise. This is my family. Allah blessed me with this family. Regardless of what Bani Umayyah do. And look at your family. Your grandfather Abu Sufyan, to Yazid, she said, is the most prominent enemy of Islam. That he invested everything to defeat it. Your father is Muawiyah, and there is no need to say a lot about him and his character. So at the time of hardship, remembering the positive. And by the way, there are studies when they want to help people to build resilience when it comes to calamities. This is what they tell them. They tell them that yes, it is hard, but you have to look at it that way. That yes, you lost a loved one, but you had a time to spend with them. That they were with you for this time. That there are memories that you created with one another. Yes, there are some health issues, but still you're able to have some kind of treatment. There are people who don't have access to the treatment. So, اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم. Remember the blessings of Allah. That's one way to build resilience. By seeing مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا, to see the beauties. And this is something we need to remind ourselves. Because otherwise, only we focus on the negative. Right? That's why, again, this negativity in everything it comes, right? When somebody's getting married, a lot of married couples, a lot of, mashallah, people with years of marriage, all they say is, oh, now you're getting married? Prepare yourself. Brace yourself. And my point is that I get it, you're joking, but behind every joke, there's a bit of unfortunate truth. But if it was that bad, but you would, alhamdulillah, been married for all this long, so it shouldn't be that bad. Same as with people who are having children. Oh, you're having a child? Prepare yourself for a sleepless night. From now on, you will not enjoy another moment of your life. So why? Why we only focus on the negative? That's why when somebody in front of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam said, what's the point of having children? In front of Imam alayhi salam. Said, as they are alive, all they do is they trouble you. They disrespect you. They do whatever they like. They don't honor you. And once you die, they don't remember you. They start just having the inheritance. That's one way of looking. And there's truth to it as well. There are children like that as well. But Imam alayhi salam said, why are you saying that? Say that children are a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That they're the one that when they come to your life, they become a new purpose for you, to raise them well, to work for their sake. And they also honor you. They also are the one that they don't walk ahead of you. And after you die, they remember you. They make dua for you. That's up to us. We can look at it either way. And there's a truth, it could be either. But the point is, to be negative, it does not make us more resilient. I want to emphasize on that. People think if I'm a pessimist, if I look at everything at the worst case scenario, that make me a resilient person. It doesn't. It makes us despair and hopeless. مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. Look for jamal and beauty at the time of hardship. The beauty that Zainab found in Karbala. If she can find beauty in Karbala, in the midst of that bloodshed, she can see beauty. The beauty of loyalty. That how Abbas alayhi salam refused to even entertain the offer of amnesty. The beauty of companions who did not let any of the Bani Hashim go to the battle until they were alive. That's beautiful. To stand by Prophet's family to the last breath. The beauty of the Salatul Dhuhr of the day of Ashura, to establish Salat the last time. and those who made their bodies as a shield for their imam to let him to have his final salat. They're beauties all over. So in the midst of hardship, yes, God forbid, marriages have ups and downs. You have an issue with your husband, you have, God forbid, a problem, an argument with your wife. It's easy to let that moment become, oh, all it is bad, all it is negative, there is no point. Or see the beauty. That yeah, we're going to, move past this over as well. We're going to put this behind us. We went through a lot of hardship. We moved together from one country to another. We built a new life together. We were able to overcome many challenges. This is not a difficult one. We will do this together as well. It's a decision we make. And I give 2 more tips and inshallah conclude with that. The 4th tip, when it comes to building resilience, is to ask this question when we are looking at the difficulty. What should I do, right? There are moments that when we face difficulty, you say, what can I do right now? Quran says, stay away from matters that they are pointless. Allah in Surah Al-Mu'minun, when He wants to describe believers, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, indeed believers, faithful ones are successful. One of the qualities of the mu'minun is وَهُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. A mu'min stays away from lagh. Lagh is a kind of activity, is a kind of dialogue that is pointless, aimless, useless. A mu'min, in other words, does not waste his or her time to engage in matters that has no benefit. Same in the word of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have that from the sign of Iman is to avoid amma la ya'ni. If you want your Iman to grow, stay away from matters that does not help you, does not serve you, does not benefit you. It's not even related to you. Ma la ya'ni. If other people did it or not, why are you wasting your time with it? Ghiba and gossiping of other people's issues, what's the point? What's the benefit of that? How we build resilience? At the time of hardship, ask ourselves, whatever we do, because usually emotions are the one that kicks in. Is either anger, is it either sadness, whatever feeling it is. Ask ourselves that what am I going to do? Is this going to be helpful, beneficial or not? Does it benefit me or not? Let's say, God forbid, somebody lost their investment. I can sit down and you say, you know what, I wish I would have, take out my investment out. So the more you just sit in this cycle of thinking of the mistake of the past. لا تأسوا على ما فاتكم. What you have lost, you lost. Quran says, لا تأسوا. Stop contemplating and going over and over about what you have lost. It's gone. Yes, you can learn a lesson from it, but just to relive it over and over is not going to help you. لا تأسوا على ما فاتكم. Resilient is to tell you, okay, this is a vicious cycle, is a destructive cycle. And instead, let's start making new investment. Let me start making new income. That's beneficial. That's the way to learn from the mistake and move forward. Or I can sit and say, you know what? 10 years ago, if I kept that money and that investment, it would have been different. That's why it's critical to see some of the mistake that quite often happens in our communities. People reliving through the same hardship. I see people in funerals, they record funerals. Why? It's not haram, it's not forbidden, but why? There is a reason that Allah gave us nisyan, forgetfulness. If you want to live that pain of burying our loved one every single time, what's the benefit of that? How is that benefiting them? We have the cameras, we record them. I get it, some people send it to their loved one, but even that one, why? You can make a recitation of Quran, you can make a sadaqah. And a lot of decisions are like this, are a question we have to ask. Yeah, looking at memories, remembering good memories, but to look at photos that somebody was in pain and just look at it and then look at it. You may say, so what about Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? Why we repeat the musibah of Imam al-Hussein? That may happen. Just be aware there is a benefit. Reliving the tragedy of Karbala is an ongoing call for justice. And also to never let go of that. It was never normal for the master of the youth of paradise to be killed by so-called Muslims. This is the greatest tragedy of all. Even nowadays, that tragedy still echoes. There is relevance, there is benefit to that message and to that musibah. But for the rest of us, there is no. For somebody who, God forbid, died from an illness, and for us to just relive that moment, how is that beneficial? I know people 10 years after the loss of a loved one, decade after, so you know what? If we would have taken our father to a different doctor, who would have lived? They still relive that. And Quran said, "La ta'asaw ala ma fatakum." Resilience is to understand, what can I do right now? It happened. It happened. What can I do at this moment? And if it's beneficial to my dunya or akhirah, bismillah, do it. Otherwise, do not engage in it. Do not let that hardship consume you. And I finish with the last step when it comes to resilience is family. Family is a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Quran says, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. You get married, you start a family, that you find tranquility with them. And resilience is how we go through hardship and get to tranquility from hardship. And family plays an important role. Building good relationship with our family. If Zainab salamullah alayha has this resilience, it's from that relationship she has with her family. Nowadays, unfortunately, I see people look for excuses to cut their ties with their family. She doesn't like what I like, he doesn't say what I like, invitation here, they didn't consult me when they went to marry their son. Small issues. Expectations who are not really realistic. I was the eldest of the family, I was the head of the family. All these issues for people to stop connections with their family. Family plays an important role. Husband and wives, siblings, parents, children. If there is a healthy relationship, they are able to be a symbol of resilience for us. Because if I go through one hardship, I understand, yes, there is an hardship, but I have children. We have to work through this. We are married, but we have children. If we have an issue with our children, we understand, okay, it's a hardship, but I have other children as well. I have a family unit. It's important to invest in our relationship with our family. And those who have healthy relationship, or at least they try to have a healthy relationship with their family, they will learn istiqamah. They will learn resilience. They will be able to manage a stressful situation much better. There are studies about single child families. What kind of issues they go. One of the statistic about them is their threshold to endure hardship, stress. It's usually lower. Because siblings, you know what they do to one another? Ask those who have siblings. They make you tough. Right? Those who have siblings, they meet their first bully in the house before they go to school. It's not a bad thing all the time. And to a healthy level is necessary for children, for siblings to engage, even in some kind a bit of maybe wrestling, not just physical but even verbal, is necessary. It makes them more resilient. Rather than someone who always was pampered. They had this bubble wrap around them regardless of where they go. So our relationship in the family, our treatment of our family, our ability to work on our relationship, it helps on our own resilience and also teaching that to our children as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the honor of Sayyeda Zainab salamullah alayha, help us to learn from the istiqamah, from the sabr, from the patience and resilience of Zainab salamullahi alayha. We make dua, may Allah inshallah hasten return of Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. May Allah help us to be among His true awaiters and true followers of the Imam of our time. And may Allah bring an end to the suffering of all the madhlumeen, all the oppressed of the world, especially for the madhlumeen of Gaza and Lebanon. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring them immediate relief and end of the suffering and end of the bloodshed. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala end this genocide very soon. And we see inshallah the freedom the liberation of the occupied land of Palestine, inshallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our dua is to help us to see the day that the Imam over time will be the one who established justice and peace for all humanity with his return, inshallah. For the soul of all marhumeen, for the shifa of all the mareed, please recite Surah Fatiha with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أفضل السلام محمد وآل محمد وہ نور جس کو شہ مشرقین کہتے ہیں اسی کو نور خدا نورین کہتے ہیں بکھر گیا جو وہی نور کائنات بنا سمٹ گیا جو اسی کو حسین کہتے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں سب مل کے ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین یہ ہماری قسمت ہے ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم نبی کے عاشق ہیں ہم علی کے دیوانے ہم نبی کے عاشق ہیں ہم علی کے دیوانے اور حسن سے نسبت ہے ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین ہم سے فاطمہ زہرا کر چکی ہے ایک وعدہ ہم سے فاطمہ زہرا کر چکی ہے ایک وعدہ اب ہماری جنت ہے ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین یا علی کی مدحت ہے یا حسین کا ماتم یا علی کی مدحت ہے یا حسین کا ماتم ہر نفس عبادت ہے ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم حسین والے ہیں ہم بتاتے دنیا کو ہم سے پوچھتی دنیا हम बताते दुनिया को, हमसे पूछती दुनिया गम में कितनी लज्जत है। हम हुसैन वाले हैं, हम हुसैन वाले हैं, हम हुसैन। या रसूल अल्लाह सलावतुल्लाह अलैका, या नबी सलाम अलैका, या अली सलाम अलैका, हसनैन फातिमा पर या रसूल अल्लाह सलावतुल्लाह। नूरे हक़ से नूरे अहमद, सबसे बेहतर सबसे अमजद, हो दुरूद हक़ से बेहद, या नूर अल्लाह सलावतुल्लाह अलैका, या नबी सलाम अलैका, या अली सलाम अलैका, हसनैन फातिमा पर या रसूल अल्लाह सलावतुल्लाह। या मुहम्मद नाम प्यारा, अर्श पर हक़ ने पुकारा, सच पैगंबर है हमारा, या हबीब अल्लाह सलावतुल्लाह अलैका, या नबी सलाम अलैका, या अली सलाम अलैका, हसनैन फातिमा पर या रसूल अल्लाह सलावतुल्लाह। अफ़्ज़लुस सलाम मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद। Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Kushay Mubarak to you all on the Wiladat of Sayyeda Zainab alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This concludes the program for tonight. If I can please request 5 times dua Amma Yujibu for Uncle Amin Dala, who is actually going to be having surgery on Monday, and anyone else in need of our duas. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibu al-mustarra iza da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-mustarra iza da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-mustarra iza da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-mustarra iza دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. زيارة. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا حسين الشهيد وابن الشهيد. السلام عليك يا علي زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا محمد باقر. السلام عليك يا جعفر الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى الكاظم. السلام عليك يا علي الرضا. السلام عليك يا محمد التقي. السلام عليك يا علي النقي. السلام عليك يا حسن عسكري ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله لك ما وعدك من الناس وظهور الأمر ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك توعا وتمتيه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم